Welcome back to another episode of The Doctor's In. I'm your doctor, C.G. Weinberg, and today I have a special one for you. Not about a book, it's actually about my son. My oldest son today turns 9, which is weird to think about that I have a 9-year-old. But I've been thinking about him because it's his birthday and trying to think about and consider what kind of a man do I want him to be. So this one is all about raising sons with thoughtfulness, actually thinking about where do you want your son to go and where do you want him to be. And this one, I'm not particularly thinking about his profession, but that is something a father needs to think about, is what kind of profession his son should have, but way more about his character. So kind of just thinking through, comparing him to other boys his age, looking at how he's growing up and whatnot, and the young men that I have seen grow up, and which ones I like, and which ones I want him to emulate. Just kind of thinking through what character qualities do I want him to build up into, and how can I help him do that. And the first one is kind of softball, comes from the Bible. I need my son to be self-controlled. That is numero uno for all young men. And weirdly, I see a lot of parents not working on this one with their sons. And I see some parents with absolutely crazy, insane boys that are working on it all the time. So just because your son's insane doesn't actually mean you're not working on it. Keep going, keep pushing, keep going forward. Some sons just need more work on this one. But self-controlled. This is emotional, physical, and spiritual. You got to work on all 3 levels with young men, but they must learn how to be the boss of their own bodies at all times. Because the worst thing in the world is actually men who can't control themselves. That is where all crime virtually all crime comes from. If a young man does not control himself in his youth, he will not control himself in his adulthood. And if he wants something, he takes it. If he wants a woman, he takes her. If he gets upset and acts out in anger, I mean, it goes on and on, but it's all based on the root of lack of self-control. So fathers, you must exhibit self-control. Fathers must be exhibiting self-control if they're going to mirror that for their sons, and so for their sons to learn it. Because that is a main key part of being a young man, is learning self-control in all 3 levels. They must learn it. And what this looks like first is actually just straight up obedience. Young men must learn how to obey. And once they do that, and that's the hard part with parents. Parents want their sons to grow up to be leaders, but a good leader must know when to obey, how to obey, who to obey. So boys must first learn self-control and to obey, so that they can learn how to lead. That's the flow. Obedience to leadership. So you can't excuse your young man's leadership qualities at the young age when he's disobeying. Like, he just wants to lead the world. Well, that doesn't actually work. He must first learn how to be the boss of himself by putting him underneath someone else, because guess what? Everyone is under someone, because everyone is under God at least. So obedience first, then leadership. That is the flow it goes on. So those are more general ones. And then the hard part, especially with our culture today, is actually masculinity. I want my sons, I have 2, my 9-year-old and my 2-year-old, to both be masculine, which means they're not feminine. And trying to think through this one is actually kind of hard, because you know what it looks like. You know what an effeminate man looks like, and you know what a masculine man looks like. But I think it's super helpful to actually define things through characteristics, and so I went through a couple today. So young man must first be actually sturdy. I think that's actually the first thing with masculinity, is someone who's masculine. A young man that's masculine is sturdy. They are not going to crumble when things are hard. They're going to be able to work hard, work beyond their ability. Young men must be sturdy. And sturdiness flows into decisive. So for a young man to be sturdy, he must also be able to make a decision, be decisive, be able to make up his mind and go for it. Young men need to be able to make decisions for those around them, for themselves first, i.e. self-control. And then when they're put in those positions of leadership, they must be able to decide and actually think of everyone else around them and decide for them too. So this then leads to not being selfless, not selfish. So masculine men are sturdy and they're decisive, meaning they're selfless, thinking of those around them and being able to make decisions that are for the betterment of the group, not just themselves. And through this, I see young men who are sturdy, who are decisive, who are not teachable, which is a recipe for disaster. If a young person is not teachable, things are going to go real bad, real wrong for them, because they're going to actually be a fool. They're going to end up being idiots. They're just going to be a fool. They're not going to listen to counsel, and they're going to end up screwing things up massively. Lots of mistakes can be mitigated, can be taken away, not dealt with, merely by asking people's opinion, and it's just wise. So a young man, in order to be masculine, must be teachable, and when they're teachable and they get to old age, they will then become wise. So you see how these things flow together. The sturdy person is decisive, the teachable one becomes wise. And who doesn't want a wise son? Who doesn't want a son that when in their old age they can say, son, I've run my race, I'm at the end. Please help me at this point. You are wise, I turn things over to you. That is a massive blessing to a father, is to have wise sons. So raise them teachable, which means you must be teachable. Show them wisdom by you being wise fathers, and you will have a son that blesses you. The final two, final one, a son must be meek. A meek son is someone, meekness has two sides to it. Someone who is meek, first off, so a general definition of meekness is strength under control. So a son must first be strong and then be in control. So a son must be able to commit great violence and never do so unless needed. So like for my son's 9th birthday, I took him out bear hunting. He doesn't have a hunting license, so he doesn't have his hunting license yet. So he basically just hiked with me. But we sat there and he watched me try to call in a bear, and we didn't get anything this morning. We didn't even see a bear. But we were bear hunting. And I'm doing it now because I want to teach him how to do it when he's old enough. Because right now, if he shot my .308, it might knock him on his butt. But he's getting there. He's pretty close. But then once he's able to shoot it, he has to shoot accurately. Then he has to know ethics and blah, blah, blah. So hopefully by the time he's 12 or 13, he's going to be old enough to be hunting with me. But I need to learn how to do it so I can show him how to do it. But I want all of my sons to be able to commit to great violence and never have to need to. So this is the things Teddy Roosevelt, walk gently and carry a big stick. It is actually a great service to young men to teach them how to fight and when to fight, because it's actually part of a young man's job. A young man is to be the protector of all those around him, and a protector must be able to protect, must be able to fight, and must know when to do it. So when someone else is being foolish, when someone else is being sinful, someone else is being cruel, the young man must learn and know, when is it time for me to step in? There are different scenarios of this. Obviously, I step in first with my kids. If something's actually dangerous, then I'll step in for someone else's kids. And then if I see an adult scenario going down, I'm stepping in to protect women, blah, blah. Like, there's levels of where to step in. But a man must be able to actually do something and know when to do something. So teaching your men, young men, all these things, which just makes them masculine. It makes them it's going to make them into a good man. And all these things is going to make them a man of gravitas. So a man that has gravity, that when they walk in the room, they are respected. And that's what I want for my sons. I want them to be known in the community as someone to be followed, someone to be counseled by, someone to be discipled by, someone to be trusted. I want my sons to be like that, And so I am raising them to be like that. And the hard part with this is I have deficiencies myself, and so I must be working on it first. So I am doing lots of things in my life to try and fill in my gaps so that I can show my sons what to do. So this is first off a call to fathers to man up, and then a fathers to father. So raise up your sons to be men that you would be excited to lead you. And that is the whole point of fatherhood, is to raise up sons to take on your job. So that's your prescription today. Go be good dads. Raise up men who have self-control in all the ways, physical, spiritual, mental, all the things that they can be the boss of themselves. Help them to be obedient in order to lead, and then help them to be masculine, because masculinity is actually a fantastic thing for young men. The only problem is if it's actually not all under the roof of self-control and obviously all under the roof of Christ. If that's the case, then it becomes toxic masculinity, and that's where things go bad. The worst thing you can have is someone who is masculine and out of control. That is where society breaks, and that is what we must fix. So start with our sons and go from there. Send this to your fathers, encourage them with it. Like it if you agree, comment below if you don't. Give me why I'm wrong. I don't care. I'd love to learn because I'm teachable. That's how it goes. Subscribe if you want to know when my next video comes out. Otherwise, with that, the doctor's out.